Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television, and now part 2 of our interview with Jerry Boyle.
The other implication of the matrix is how the officer perceives you, because it works the other way too. Your physical presence is perceived as a use of force, meaning just the fact that you are there is a threat to them. Just the fact that you are physically present is a potential threat to them. All right? And they work the matrix. All right? They arrive on the scene, and what they're looking for is compliance. All right? So for instance, police officer arrives on the scene. There's 40 people there. Some people are going to change their behavior just because the police officer is there. Acknowledge the police officer's presence, stop something that they're doing, or look at the police officer. That is a demonstration of compliance. They have reacted to me. They have reacted to my presence. All right? If you want to keep a police officer down on the levels, all right, in terms of the matrix, all right, it's not a bad idea that when the police arrive on the scene, don't ignore them. Don't treat them like they're not there. Let them know you know that they're there, all right, because that a demonstration of compliance, all right, and I've got to distinguish that from obedience, okay? I'm not necessarily saying obey everything a police officer tells you to do. What I'm saying is demonstrate compliance, okay? Keep him down at a low level, all right? Acknowledge the fact that the police officer is present. What I do as a lawyer is the first police officer that arrives on the scene, I go up and introduce myself. Okay? I've acknowledged his presence. Okay? I've also done something else. All right? Again, that second level, all right, is verbal direction. All right? So when a police officer arrives on the scene, the first one to arrive on the scene, I turn to the police officer. I extend my hand. I say, "Hi, I'm Jerry Boyle. I'm a lawyer. I represent these people. Is there anything I can do for you?" I just demonstrated compliance just by saying it. I haven't actually done anything aside from a normal thing, which is to greet somebody and say, "What can I do for you?" Okay? What is the police officer seen? He's seen I've reacted to his presence. Okay? I preempted him from giving me an order by saying, "What can I do for you?" Okay? All right? I've also, as a matter of human psychology, when a police officer arrives on a scene, it's a chaotic situation. It's a new situation. He doesn't know what's going to happen. They like to see somebody take responsibility for what's happening, somebody they can talk to, somebody who they believe will respond to their concerns. All right? So if you show them from the get-go that, hey, I'm not a threat, and I'll work with you. All right? They get that. They get that. Again, it's all about control. And I mean, yes, some law enforcement officers do have authority complexes and problematic authority complexes. But a lot of times what you're dealing with isn't that. You're dealing with a guy who's got a job and is concerned about getting in trouble. Okay? And he doesn't want to get in trouble. He doesn't want his boss yelling at him for mishandling this situation. So he wants control, not just because he might have an authority complex, but also because he wants to make sure he doesn't get in trouble with his boss. My rule of thumb is you never want that police officer escalating to the level of empty-hand control, because in my experience, if they get to the level of empty-hand control, you're arrested. that means the police officer's discretion is gone, all right? And they've decided they're not going to use their discretion and they are going to arrest you, all right? It is unusual for them to put their hands on somebody, handcuff him, hold him, and then decide to let him go. Why is that? Because once they do that, if they exercise their discretion after that, they might face a lawsuit or a complaint. Police officers like to win their criminal cases. They don't like to deal with beefs, meaning reports to the Office of Professional Standards. And they don't like to get sued in civil rights cases. All right. On the other hand, don't overestimate the power of those things. They're not very powerful. They're not very serious threats. You know, threatening to report a police officer to OPS is usually counterproductive. Okay, because again, the best for them, the best defense is a good offense. It's you threaten to report them to OPS, you run the risk that their response will be, okay, you're under arrest, and they'll charge you with assaulting a police officer. And they'll say, you know, he ran at me and hit me. And most juries are going to believe him. All right, so if you're going to report to OPS, wait until you're out of harm's way, okay? And because more often than not, a threat to report a police officer is just going to make things worse for you. If OPS were meaningful, if it were an organization that actually did anything useful, I'd recommend otherwise, but it's not. It's now called something else, the Independent Police Review Authority, and it's got a new person running it, but it remains to be seen whether or not IPRA is just OPS by another name. OPS was totally useless. It was actually counterproductive.
I'm Andy Thayer, and you're watching Chicago Independent Television.
I see the soul of a nation, must be true 'cause I've seen it on TV.
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by Coca-Cola, whose logo is stained red by the blood of murdered Colombian labor union organizers. Learn more at killercoke.org. Coke, the drink of the death squads. Nor by McDonald's, environmental destruction, unhealthy food, low wages, and repressed labor rights. And lawsuits against people who talk about it. Learn more at mclibel.org. McDonald's, I'm not loving it.
Does AT&T hate freedom? Let's find out.
Well, AT&T censored Pearl Jam, who criticized George W. Bush at an AT&T broadcast of Lollapalooza. So yes.
There you have it. Clear evidence that AT&T hates freedom. Help protect internet freedom. Visit these websites to learn more and get involved. AT&T, your world delivered for a price.